But aside from the Sawsbuck enthusiast lore, we learn a lot of other interesting facts about all the different forms. The spring form Scarlet entry says it seems that a Sawsbuck with many flowers on its antlers will grow at a slightly slower pace because the flowers absorb the Pokemon's nutrients. Interesting how more flowers indicates a potentially less healthy Sawsbuck. The summer form's Violet entry says this Pokemon's leaves can be made into a black tea, the taste of which varies depending on the region of origin. Paldea's is especially aromatic. I would like to try Sawsbuck leaf tea. I wonder if it would be black or green. Chamomile? I don't know how tea works. The autumn form's Violet entry says Sawsbuck in their autumn form are known for having very short tempers. The males fight each other incessantly. This tracks with the Dex entry I mentioned earlier for Deerling's autumn form, how they behave as they please and don't really care if people are watching. So they go from being kind of a I'll do what I want, I don't care, to just being really angry and aggressive. But then, the winter form's Scarlet entry says it's said that Sawsbuck are calm and easy to tame during the season when they take on this form, so it's the perfect time to make one your partner. So it seems that Sawsbuck get really irritable and aggressive when their leaves are starting to fall off, but then the winter happens, they lose all their leaves, and they're like, you know what, this is fine, I'm chill now. Or it's seasonal depression. Farigiraf's Scarlet entry says, now that the brainwaves from the head and tail are synced up, the psychic power of this Pokemon is 10 times stronger than Girafareg's. This is funny, because no it's not. Girafareg's base special attack is 90, and Farigiraf's is 110. That is very far away from being 10 times. But also, they definitely could not actually multiply by 10. Could you imagine if Farigiraf had 900 base special attack? Nothing that even has that much as a total. Maschiff's Scarlet entry says it always scowls in an attempt to make opponents take it seriously, but even crying children will burst into laughter when they see Maschiff's face. This is adorable and very fun. Pachirisu's Scarlet entry says it's one of the kinds of Pokemon with electric cheek pouches. It shoots charges from its tail. To my knowledge, this is the first time that a Dex entry is acknowledging that Pika clones are just like a class of Pokemon. Could be wrong. But to me, it's like, oh, it's one of the kinds of Pokemon with electric cheek pouches. You could just say it's one of the Pika clones. Stantler's Violet entry says it's said that this Pokemon used to be stronger long ago when it had many enemies, and that it was even able to evolve under its own power. This is talking about Weird here, and I think it's cool that the Dex is acknowledging this. It's the only instance in the Paldea Pokedex that I could find, and I think it's cool that they're doing it. Fungus's Scarlet entry says there's a theory that the developer of the modern-day Pokeball really liked Fungus, but this has not been confirmed. All of Fungus's previous Dex entries are basically like, no one knows why it looks like a Pokeball, which I've thought is just lazy design. You know, there should be a reason that this organic creature looks like a man-made device. However, this is a theory that kind of explains it. If Fungus was around first and the modern Pokeball designer copied it, then that actually makes sense. Amoonguss's Scarlet entry says, be wary of the poisonous spores it releases. Mushrooms resembling Amoonguss's caps will grow out of anywhere the spores touch. First off, I think it's fun that it can grow more Pokeball mushrooms, but also they'll grow out of anywhere the spores touch. Maybe your skin? Ursaring's Scarlet entry says it usually wears a hardened expression, but when it's licking up honey, which it loves, the joy it feels will cause it to break into a wide grin, which is just adorable. Then its Violet entry says it's quite skilled at climbing trees. If it comes across a Primeape while searching for berries in the treetops, trouble will surely ensue. Another conflict between wild Pokemon that's fun to learn about. Although I feel like Primeape definitely has the advantage, considering the whole fighting versus normal thing. Go-Goat's Scarlet entry says it can sense the feelings of others by touching them with its horns. This species has assisted people with their work since 5,000 years ago. That's really cool. And it's also about how long it's been since Go-Goat was in a game, you know? So it's back. Go-Goat is back! Blazebreed Tauros' Scarlet entry says, when heated by fire energy, its horns can get hotter than 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. Those gored by them will suffer both wounds and burns. That's, you know, but also, I think it would cauterize the wounds it creates. So I feel like it would be really bad, but also, I feel feel like you're not gonna bleed out. Aqua Breed Tauros' Scarlet entry says, this Pokemon blasts waters from holes on the tip of its horns. The high-pressure jets pierce right through Tauros' enemies. Water jets have been used to cut things for a long time, but it's kind of disturbing to think about it happening. Then its Violet entry says it swims by jetting water from its horns. The most notable characteristic of the Aqua Breed is its high body fat, which allows it to float easily, which is fun. A lot cuter than the last entry. Litleo's Scarlet entry says, when Litleo are young, female Pyroar will teach them how to hunt. Once the Litleo mature, they will leave the Pride and set out on their own. Then Pyroar's Scarlet entry says, the females of a Pride work together to bring down prey. It's thanks to them that their Pride doesn't starve. These are the first Dex entries that discuss Litleo and Pyroar having the same Pride behavior as real-life lions. So that's cool. Gothorita's Violet entry says, using its psychic power, it arranges pebbles to form the shapes of constellations. Some people believe this Pokemon came from outer space. This is the first mention of Gothorita being a Pokemon people think came from space. So it's joining the ranks of LGM and Clefairy and whatever else. Gothitel's Scarlet entry says, Gothitelle unleashes psychic energy and shows opponents dreams of the universe's end. These dreams are apparently ethereal and beautiful. Then its Violet entry says it gazes at the stars to predict the future. It acts somewhat detached because it has seen the end of all existence. We're getting kind of existential here, and also it's crazy that this thing can see many, many billions of years into the future, or trillions. When is the predicted heat death of the universe? Heat death will occur in 1.7 times 10 to the